Good morning, everybody. My name is Robin Brown, and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up. I'd love to be your demonstrator if you don't have one. I live in the Medina, Ohio area, and would be happy to invite you to classes, to deliver you your order if you're in Medina County, and just to become friends in card making over the next few months. Our new catalog is out, and I have those available for any of the customers who place an order. And this morning we're going to be making 4 cards, and I'm ready for spring. So some of the cards are spring based, and some of them are just something new out of the new catalog. I'll be using some retiring materials, and you can still get them until May 2nd. After that, they're while supplies last, actually, so they may be out, but I tried my best to use things that were still either available or going to carry over into the new catalog. I decided that while I was waiting for some of the other girls to come, that I would show you some of the new items that I got from the pre-order from the new catalog, new in colors. So I got the stamp pads, the paper, the markers, the refills, and the Stampin' Blends markers for all those colors. And I want to share them with you because they're really nice. This first new color is Parakeet Party. A beautiful, beautiful neon green, I would call it, but surprise, surprise. I think it looks a lot like the lemon lime twist we used to have, but it's a little bit brighter on the green side. The lemon lime twist went a little bit more to the yellow, I believe. So those are the blends, and then there's a stamp pad, of course, and a refill, which I'm not going to dig out of the box, but I am going to show you this beautiful metallic ribbon that matches. It's a little bit darker, but it is definitely the same color family, so it will coordinate with this beautifully. So that's Parakeet Party. The next one is Sweet Sorbet, which is definitely like a red, but it's not the same as our real red, which is this one here. So you can see the difference. And it's not Poppy Parade, which is this one here. Well, it's kind of a strawberry color. It's a red, but it's a little more pinky than normal red. Here's the stamp pad, coming out looking very red on the camera. The markers. And I did get the set of in color Stampin' Right markers. Let's see, where can I set those? These 2 colors I've kind of waited for quite some time. This is Tahitian Tide. A very, very, very bright blue. It's kind of like a tempting turquoise, but it doesn't have the aqua tones as much as what the Tempting Turquoise does. This is the matching ribbon. Beautiful. Forgot to show you the matching ribbon from the Sweet Sorbet. That's this one. That matches the Sweet Sorbet. Of course, somewhere in here, markers. That's the Tahitian tide stamp pad. There it is. So some new names to learn. These colors will be around for 2 years. So get used to them. Put these guys back in the box. And the next one we have is Orchid Oasis. This is definitely not coming through true to color. This is a beautiful purple. It's darker than Highland Heather and lighter than Gorgeous Grape. It's like a, well, here's to show you what the Highland Heather color is compared to the Orchid Oasis color. But this is coming out very blue on the camera. It's not blue at all. It's more towards the purple, but you can see it's toward the blue of the purple. So it's Wisteria Wonder magnified with more purple in it. Okay. And then it also has, of course, has some matching ribbon. Ready? And then the last in color that we have is called Starry Sky. It is a deep, deep, dark bluish purple. In fact, the ribbon looks more blue than purple. So I am not totally convinced that that ribbon coordinates as well as the others do with their matching counterparts. The markers look like so. So that is called Starry Sky. And I can see this made into a card with Northern Lights, just lending itself to that kind of a color. Now, in there also, I bought one of the Designer Series paper color packs for the in colors. So I just wanted to show you what those are like. This is a 6x6 paper, and I believe you get 4 of each design. So here's the Starry Sky. Back side. That's 2 patterns. Cute little plaid here. And the back side. And here is our parakeet party. And the back side, cute little polka dots. And the plaid with, whoops, I picked up the wrong one there. Okay, so the flower has the stripes behind, And the plaid has the polka dots behind. That up incorrectly. This is the Orchid Oasis. This is very much like Wisteria Wonder kind of colors, the light portion of it anyway. But the actual color is the darker one of the two. And then there's your stripes on this side. Your plaid. And that should have the polka dots. Tahitian tide I've fallen in love with. And the stripes. And plaid, that's a beautiful, beautiful plaid. And the polka dots. And then this is the sweet sorbet. You can see it's sort of a pinky red. Polka dots. And the flowers. And the stripes. So that's the in color collection from the new catalog, which you will be able to purchase starting, I believe it's March 2nd. And to show you what I did purchase from the catalog that is a carryover was the palms dies. So I have an idea to the palms dies and the Paradise Palms stamp set. If you purchase them now, they are bundled. If you wait till the catalog goes live, the new catalog goes live, they are not bundled any longer. So if you want to save 10% and order these from the current catalog, you can do that anytime, as long as their supplies last. And of course, you know, you did get the re-inkers for each color. So that was my surprise box that came in the mail yesterday. It wasn't too much of a surprise, but that's what I got. Okay, so are you ready for spring?
I slept with the windows open last night.
Oh, my
Heard
husband.
heard the spring peepers, and then this morning the birds. It was wonderful.
Okay, so you see that? You guys are on May 11th.
But
All right, so this is the first card, and I call it Hexagon Hugs. And you could use it for thinking of you or sympathy. It says sending hugs on the outside, and then the inside says, my heart is tied to yours. Hug if you need anything. So
I like that sentiment. What set is that, Robin?
that is from Eden's Garden. Eden's Garden stamp set.
I didn't get that one.
I don't either.
So that was the one that came with it looks like this.
Nope, I don't have that one.
So, and it has, you know, it has dies that cut out up. I think it has like a wreath, a rectangular kind of wreath that it cuts out as well in that particular kit. So, all right, let us begin. So you'll have a white card base and a white piece of paper, which I have already cut out. This is Misty Moonlight, which is retiring. So if you want any, now is the time to get it while it's still available. It's available while supplies last. I made you a Misty Moonlight bow from a combo pack of ribbon that came with the Heart and Home Suite. And then you have you only need one. You have a acrylic window sheet. And then this is a piece of Simply Marvelous, but you don't need to use this paper. You could use anything else. This is very nice, but it doesn't coordinate with the color. But the new Waves of Inspiration, if you got that pack, there's lots of kind of swirly, watery kind of pieces of paper in there that you could use if you want to duplicate the card. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp the outside sentiment. So we're going to pretend that nothing has been cut out of here yet, and that it's just a regular piece of paper. In my planning mode here, I tried to do some things that would speed some things up. Don't know if I accomplished that or not, but I'm going to give it a go. And I just knocked my envelope off page. So we're going to stamp the sending hugs. Mount it up in the Stamparatus. And I'm stamping it with Misty Moonlight. Good. And then while I'm in here stamping things, I'm going to stamp the inside sentiment as well. I need to wipe off my stamp first and find what's not there. I'm going to get inky on the back side here. Lay the inside in here. This is the My Heart is Tied to Yours. Tug, give it a tug anytime or something like that. I forgot.
Hug if you need anything.
If you need anything, give me a tug. Hug if you need anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next step is to cut out the hexagon, and I used the largest hexagon from the Beautiful Shapes dies, and I put the die from Honeybee Blooms die. I put that in there along with it when I sent it through the Big Shot. The paper is too big to fit in your mini, so you have to use the Big Shot for it. But that's how I put them in together, so you only have to do it in one step. Okay.
Tricky.
And that comes out of the Big Shot.
Are those dies current, Robin?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And they did carry over.
Excuse me.
The only thing that's
My
not
allergies have kicked in.
the only thing that is not carrying over on this card is the color Misty Moonlight. So anything that's Misty Moonlight color is unfortunately gone. So once you get that cut out, I thought of something that we could be done with this scrap so that you don't just toss it out. You're careful when you put the flower in there. And I have this one stuck with some washi. When you take the flower out, we're going to use the flower for the card. But look at what you have left. You have something.
A nice silhouette.
Oh, nice.
Nice silhouette. You could
Yeah,
use
I like that.
just as easily make
Yeah.
some kind of card out of that. So I wouldn't throw that away because it's pretty.
It would make a good sympathy card, actually.
Yeah.
It would.
So we're going to do some assembly here then. So
You could also use it as a stencil to daub.
we're going to put the Misty Moonlight on the whites. All right, and then on this one, we're going to take this flower and we're going to glue it just under the back side of that thing there. So the deal is to put just a touch of combo, which is way too much. That's what you got to watch for. And you want to put the right side going to the outside of the part. And if you want to put this at an angle, that's fine. But you have to watch where your bow placement is then. All right, now then I have that attached there, but when you put the window sheet on, it's going to want to stick up from the sheet a little bit. So I'm going to put some tiny, and I mean really tiny, I'm going to use a pin. You could use a toothpick, but I'm just going to put some tiny little dabs of glue in the center of the flowers. That might even be too much. Just to hold it down a little bit. I think I'm going to take a little bit of that off. Okay. So just a little here and there to hold that down once you get it organized. And then I'm going to put some Tombow on the outside of the hexagon. And you want to kind of stay a little bit away from the edge. You could use your tape runner here as well. And this is where the acrylic sheet comes into play, which I put somewhere. There it is. Okay, so when you put this on then, because you have glue on there, you want to make sure that you don't slide this around. So just lay it on top. And wherever it falls, just kind of leave it as long as it's closing the hole. And then press down carefully. And then touch your flower a little. Now, if you didn't want your flower on the outside, I don't know what it would look like from the back side, but I think this kind of looks like a cameo. So that's kind of like the idea that I was going for there.
Okay.
And now I have glue on the front of my card. Let's move this over here. And then after you have your plastic on, then you put your colored piece. And the way you want it to go through the window, it's your preference as to what you want to show. And you're just going to stay out here on the outside edge. This is a 3x3, and I think the hexagon is like 2.5. So you do have some playroom. And I'm going to try to lay it right on top of that window sheet. Okay. Changed up the paper in the background. You could use this through the window as well. And then now I'm going to switch off to this stuff. I have a couple rows of this I want to get rid of. It is a little bit easier to work with a smaller piece of equipment on the table. And then you're going to center this in there. And then I give you a fork bow, and I even put it on a glue dot for you. So you just peel off the little back and stick it where you like it. And I like to put it at a little bit of an angle so that the sending of the spine still shows. But you could put it straight as well. Yeah, it didn't wind up exactly the way I wanted it, but you can still tell what it's supposed to say. So that's it. That's card number 1.
Simple, but very pretty.
Mhm.
And you could use a circle. You could use a stitch square. You don't need to use a rectangle. Just make your window sheet a little bit bigger than whatever the hole is that you're going to be covering. Ovals would look nice. It's wide open there. Oh, that's
So use what you have, huh?
okay. So then our next card. Let me see which one I'm going to show you. Okay, this is the one I made at class yesterday. I'll show you them both, and then this is the sample I made. They're not a whole lot different except for the colors of the flowers in the bouquet. And it really doesn't show up all that much. So, I call this Hand Pen Blessings of Home Shadow Box card. The paper I used in the back is from the hand penned DSP, but you can also, and I'm sure you probably should have had a piece left of it for making the Memories and More cards. It's the same pattern as the Memory and More card, which you could cut because this is going to be 5 1/4 by 4, and the card is 4 by 6, so it'll be big enough to cut down. This
I
piece
think
of
I ordered an extra set of that too.
This piece of paper is from the Blessings of Home. It's Heart and Home Designer Series paper. But the wood grain, you can also find a wood grain piece of DSP in the, now this is the one I always call Tastefully Simple, but it's her, but it's not. It's simply, it's something taste. No, I always mess that one up.
Isn't it on the back of either the tulips or the daffodils? One of the
Could be on some of the daffodils. What is the name of that paper? Oh my goodness, that's gonna bug me. Anyway, there's a set of paper that was had the wood grain, and on the back side of the wood grain had the lighter color textures that you can find a piece of in there.
In good taste.
In good taste. I knew it was taste. Taste had something to do with it. Thank you. So we're going to start out with we're going to start out with a card kit. So here's the piece of paper, and whether you use the paper or the card, the flowers are directional. So watch what you're doing with that one. And then you'll have one of these in your kit. And you'll have, this is the card base, is just a piece, a quarter sheet of Highland Heather. And then this is the layer for on top of that. And then this is your piece of wood grain, and this is your piece. And I'll discuss the size of that and the scoring in a little bit. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do on here is to stamp the sentiment on the back. We don't need to put it on right away, but we are going to stamp it. And the front says thank you, and the sentiment I have on there says being awesome is just a great thing. Oh no, it says being awesome is just your thing. Ah. I was going to say, I'm losing my mind here.
Been
Oh,
there,
I
done
lost mine
that.
a long time ago.
So I'm going to stamp this in Highland Heather. And this is going to be like on the back of the card where you would sign. There's no real inside to this card. But this card could easily be made into a gift card holder, and I'll show you that in a little bit. I'm putting that right down below, which I'll need for the next card. And I'm not going to mount that yet, just so in case I put it the wrong way. So we're going to take a piece of Highland Heather that is 4 1/4 by 9 1/2. And we're going to score it at 1/2, 1 1/4 inches, 2 3/4. This is 2 3/4. This is a 1/2 inch. This is 1 1/4 inches. This is 2 3/4. Now there's one missing, but I don't remember what it is. Let's see here. 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 inches, 2 inches is missing. All right, I have to mark that on there, your sheets, and then 2 3/4. And then over here, it's 6 3/4, 7 1/2, 8 1/4, and 9 inches. All right, and we're going to take, I took the largest.
Or turn it around and do the same on both sides.
What's that?
Or turn it around and do the same on both sides.
Yes, you can. Yeah, yes, definitely. And then I cut the first thing I did was not cut this. I'm going to show you what I did first. I cut the large oval out of the center of this piece. And this piece measures 3 3/4 by 4. So it would actually, the 4 inches is going to be your height, and the 3 3/4 is going to be your width. So I tried to get that as straight as possible, and this die is the one that is just the next one up from the other. So whatever 2 dies you use, you could use the diorama dies, which are new and are out that look real good. You can use those stitched labels dies, that nested labels that we used on the one Majestic Mountain or Mountain Air card. It had pine trees right in the middle. It was pretty peacock color.
The ones we haven't done yet.
Yeah, those dies would look real nice on here. I particularly chose this because when you make the box, if you go too big, some of the box shows through the opening. So you need to be careful on what you're choosing, that it fits this distance here. All right, so
You could use that and make an egg diorama. For Easter.
Yeah, well, this could very easily say Happy Easter on the front of this card. Now, then I cut it out. And of course, you can always save these pieces for something else. And I think I actually put them in your kit, the leftover pieces. But you'll notice now this is the one that was cut with the larger. So the DSP gets cut with the larger die, and the solid one gets cut with the smaller one. And what you do is you're going to take and, what am I going to use? You're going to attach this to your, this one is cut out, that one's not. Just, we're pretending here. You're going to actually lay this over and make sure that you put your height over the top in the right place. So you would center this in the center section. Right here. Take that off for now so I can see what I'm doing. A little fiddly because of the way it's easier to cut it. Put this on there before it's cut. And then you'll lay your die in the center and run it through the big shot and cut the smaller opening out, and you'll be left with this border around the edge. And I see how well I lined that up, huh?
It's not too bad, but
It's top and bottom went the wrong way. That's if you don't center this and do it in the moment together, then I should have put it on this way. It'll fit better this way, I'm sure. But you won't have that issue because you're not trying to do a shortcut. You'd actually glue this on. This would be solid back here. Okay. And then you would just lay your die inside the smaller of the two, like that, and then cut it out. And then it will match up with your piece. If that's not as clear as mud, I'm sorry.
Understood.
And then, of course, we're going to take and fold these all toward the inside on the, it doesn't really matter which two dies you use, but you just don't want to go too big. So just find two that nest real well. And then on the other side, we're gonna go toward the middle. One of them is already scored, so it would fit in your envelope. And this card does fold flat to fit into an envelope. I'll show you that in a bit.
Okay.
All right, so you have this folded. You don't have any other decoration except that on the front, so it doesn't matter which way you're holding this. But on this small 1/2 inch tab, I'm going to glue that, and you're just going to take it and find that this is fold 1, this is fold 2. You're going to fold this over on fold number 2. And then burnish to set the glue. You want to make sure your top and bottom are even. If you scored it straight, it should be. And we do the same thing on the other side. Fold it on that. Here's fold one, here's fold two, second fold. Now see where if you cut this too big with some other dye, it might cut into this space that's needed. So these pieces may peek out through the window. That's what I'm trying to say is choose your dye that you're going to use for this judiciously. All right, so that's how that goes, like that. And here's where I thought, well, maybe you could make a gift card. If you had some kind of way to make a stopper down here so that it doesn't, card doesn't go too far in. And I think all you have to do is glue a piece of cardstock across there. But you could just glue around the outside here and leave this top section open. And then you could have that, so a gift card, and you cut a thumb tab in this paper. And then when you glue this down here, you could slip your gift card inside, which wouldn't be too terribly hard to do, I don't think. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is attach our box to the card base. And here's where I'm going to show you this card. If you fold it, if you just push it to the side like this, it can go right in an envelope. If I can find the envelope. Have to, yeah, but watch your lumps, but it does fit in there. Okay, so the way you do that, and you can go either way, you can push it this way, it doesn't matter, it will fold and go in from either side. This is the area that's going to need the glue. But what I'm going to do is push this toward the inside and being mindful that this is the area that needs the glue right here. You can mark it if you need to so you can remember. And I'm going to mark that other side too so we know. X, X, X. So you're going to put some glue on the X section. Now, when you put this on the card, you take the edge of this window and put it even with the edge of the card. Top and bottom, side to side. And this is the place that you need to press about a, 3/4 of an inch in from the edge, because that's where the glue is. Okay. Then you kind of peek in here like this. Put some glue here. And now you're going to have to push this over so that your other edge lines up with the opposite edge of the card. And that's the mechanism behind it. Okay. And it looks like that from the top side.
Okay.
All right, and then you'll get one of these in your kit and you just need to color it. I used light Highland Heather. Light and dark I used. You can color this with blends or markers, or you can use your blender pen and watercolor ink, or pick up some of the Highland Heather in the blend itself. I like to use the alcohol markers because it does not smudge the paint. If you're going to use watercolor, I would suggest stamping this with Stays On. Okay, so a reminder that when you stamp with a water-based ink, you're meant to color it with an alcohol ink. If you stamped with a pigment ink or Stays On, you're meant to color it with water. All right, let me just continue around. I used soft succulent for the leaf color. You can look on the back of your paper that you use. It'll tell you what colors coordinate. Kind of made this look violet-ish. And so then it just gets, half of this gets glued. Of course, you're going to have this fully colored. Half of that gets glued to the left here. You want to make sure you don't get any glue on this side so that when you fold it down, you don't want this to stick here. So you color that all in. And then we have a label in here. And I'm going to use the thank you from that Happy and Heartfelt stamp set. And the Highland Heather ink. Right on the label. And then I'm going to put mini dimensionals, just 2 of them. And I'm putting on mini so that it doesn't, whatever you put on here, you want to make sure it doesn't go into the inside, any sticky portion. So on this upper, lower corner, and this can go almost any corner. Fold it right there. That would just get glued right across there. And you can either have that show opened. It's up to you where you want to position that. I like it like right there. And then here's your ribbon. And I did not have any Highland Heather ribbon. So we had a fresh freesia ribbon. And all I did was took that fresh freesia and my Highland Heather marker before I tied it into a bow and colored these edges. And now you have in your kit, you have one that's custom turned into Highland Heather. Okay. And then of course, the colors are really close. I don't think it would be objectionable, but I really wanted it to coordinate. And then you glue your bow on. That would be done.
Very nice.
But yeah, you can see this as a birthday, as a happy. I think it would make a great Easter card, and maybe Maybe you could even put an Easter bunny or something on, or a cross on the inside would look real nice. Wouldn't that be nice with Easter lilies here? And
It would.
Mhm.
in the background? I think I
Be
might
pretty.
have to play around a little for next year.
There you go.
All righty. And like I said, I did put these pieces in there so that you can play and do something else with them if you like. Easter cards, whatever. Oh, I forgot to put the being awesome. Now that you know which side is right side and up, which is right side up, you just turn that over and attach it to the back side. Okay, and that's where you write your greeting. Alrighty, and our next one is the Waves of Inspiration. And I call it, what did I call it? Waves of Inspiration and Strength. This is Knight of Navy cardstock for our base, the standard base. This is a piece of the paper that coordinates with the card, with the suite. It's Waves of the Ocean Designer Series paper. And you'll notice that it fits side to side, but not top to bottom. We're going to leave the gap at the bottom because we're going to cover that up. But by cutting it this size instead of 4 1/4, I was able to get a better amount of cuts out of the piece of cardstock. Out of the piece of DSP, I could get 6 pieces of background paper instead of just 4 if I had cut it at 4 1/4. And then you'll have a piece of white that was cut out with stitched rectangles, guys. And those I used I believe it was the 3rd largest. Obviously not. I'll grab the 4th largest instead of the 3rd largest. It's the 3rd largest. Okay. So 1 year. 1, 2, and then this one was 3. And that label with the strength on it, the sentiment, I used the smallest die to cut that one out. Get in there. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mount our background paper. Look at the back of that. Wow. I kind of like the front better. But this has Pacific Point and Knight of Navy. And if you don't have any Pacific Point paper, you can use Blueberry Bushel. It's a very close likeness. Now decide which one you want to be up. This side of the paper is going to show the most, so I think I want a little bit of the white there. And I put my fold down and match my sides of my paper up. Before I press it flat, Robin. Wow, it's not my morning for gluing paper. Should have used glue. Try again. And if not, I will use glue. There we go. All right, so we have that. And then the inside of the card is just going to have this piece of designer series paper. It's a 1/2 by 5.5. I'm sorry, a 1/2 by 5 1/4. All the measurements are on the directions. Let's see if I can actually. Should learn my lesson and just use the glue. And I will. This just gets put in the inside. I didn't put a sentiment in here. Really couldn't find anything that I liked that went with the outside sentiment. The stamp set has "Our friendship is a thing of beauty," "Happy birthday," "You're so totally awesome." That's all it has as far as, and then "Your strength is an inspiration." So I put "Your strength is an inspiration" on the outside, so I didn't want to, I just didn't see anything on that particular set that went with the strength. I'm sure there's something in another stamp set that would go well. I just love this set. It's something new and refreshing and style-wise different than what Stampin' Up! Has done before.
I've seen a lot of different cards made with it too, just a variety of different things, especially if you've got the dies too.
Now, when you when you stamp this image, you want to make sure, you'll see, this is the image in there. I'll show you in a minute. You'll see that the stamp is much bigger than the piece of paper you're going to use. So when you do this, you want to make sure that you get all of the paper covered. And I have some stickiness in here because I wanted to get the stamp away from the hinge on my Stamparatus, number one. And number two, I wanted to make sure the whole bottom of this piece of paper was inked. And I used Pacific Point to stamp. I haven't used Pacific Point in ages to stamp this wave image. You don't have to use a Stamparatus, but it is not a see-through stamp. So if it doesn't stamp cleanly, then you'll have an issue. Just make sure that you use a real inky stamp, one that's nice and good and wet if you're not using the Stamparatus, so that you get a complete coverage. Looks pretty good. And all I used to stick this down with some double-sided sticky tape. Another thing you want to do when you're thinking about stamping that, to think ahead, is your sentiment is going to overlap the side of the paper. So you want to make sure that wave doesn't come too close here, or your label will be hanging off the edge of the card out here like this. So I made it so that my label would fit in there really well when this is attached to the card like this. That this would still fit on the card rather than sneaking off to the side.
Okay.
So think of that ahead of time. I have two little birds that come in the stamp set. It's very tiny, and so it's a very light touch. Take a look at it. That's inked up well. that. Remember that you're going to be putting a label on there. So be mindful of that when you're stamping your birds. Then this gets mounted on this piece of Pacific Point, which is actually blueberry bushel because I didn't have any Pacific Points. That's going to get put on with dimensionals. You know me and my overkill with dimensionals. But I don't like sagging parts of creations. Okay, so when this gets, I'm gonna make sure I got them all off. Yeah. If you hold them up to the light, you can see them. They're shining when all the paper's off of them. When I put this on here, I put it about 1/4 of an inch away, but it's tried to get it equal this. I'm putting that on way too soon. Way too soon. All right, that's set aside. I'm glad I saw that at first. We're going to glue this vellum on next. There's a piece of vellum. The designer put this on here. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference, but we're going to put it on. So I put a little bit of vellum on the bottom section of, or the glue glued to the bottom section of the vellum, because we have not found any adhesive that does not show through vellum. You may say that it doesn't show, but Blue Dot show. Anti-vellum or vellum stickers actually show. You see how that shows through? So we're going to cover that up anyway. So we decided that we're going to glue it down there. Now this is the specialty foils that came. Both of you bought that set, right?
I did.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think this is. Now I tried to emboss it, that foil, the specialty foil from there. And I'll show you a little bit of what happened. I was successful with one piece. I tried embossing this all at one time, these 4 pieces in the waves folder. This one came out fine. So that's the one I'm going to use down there because that was my intention in the first place. But this one, you can see where the plastic didn't break, but it's stretched. It's got a plasticized coating on it. And I colored it in with marker so that it wouldn't show, but these were actually white. So see where the marker is here, where it bled through? Those were actually white spots showing through on this side. And I didn't feel that was good enough, so we just tossed those and put a plain one on there. However, this one did not stretch, so I'm going to attach this one. the designer actually used the checks 3D embossing folder that is in the new catalog for the mini Stampin' Embossing. I don't know if it was my Big Shot that was too aggressive with this, or if it was just that the Seaside embossing folder was not the one I should have used on there. I figured Seaside and Waves, that would be the good one to use. All right, so then once you have your vellum and your blue foil piece on there, then you're going to take your piece and mount it. And it's going to be you're going to try to get that even top and bottom. And about 3/8 of an inch from the edge of the paper. All right, I'm going to set that aside for a minute. And we're going to stamp our label. I again set that up so that I could have it away from the hinge. And just put that double-sided sticky tape, removable, back and behind here so that it would stay in one place because there's not enough room to get the magnets to hold it. You could, oh boy, you could just stick your hand in it. Wow. Okay. I'm now got blue fingertips. I just got to be careful that I don't pass it on. And oops, down on there. A little bit of a push. So off. And let it dry. For some reason, dark blue inks like to smear. And I don't know if that's because it's moist down here, although my dehumidifier set at 45% and it's not running. So I know it's not totally humid down here. But see, that's empty. I'm going to just cut a piece of, I had the minis up here, but I don't know what happened to them. They must have fallen off the side or something. So I'm going to cut one of these large dimensionals in half. And that's going to go on the side that is going to overhang the edge here. And this side is just going to get a little bit of liquid glue, or you could put tape runner on this side. And I'm going to place it in a pleasing spot. And I forgot to take the paper off of the it's my day for messing up. Okay. All right, there we go again. Okay. There we go. All righty. And then in your kit, you're going to have some beautiful blue rhinestones from the same suite. I used the dark blue ones rather than the lighter ones. I put one rhinestone down here on top of the vellum. That's
maybe.
that place. And then put one on my fingertip. Put one on the label. One in the sky. You want to try to not get them in a line. It's more pleasing that way. So that's that card. I like it with the embossing down there on the bottom better than plain. But if you're going to try to experiment, use one strip at a time. Don't try to put 4 through the embossing folder and then ruin all 4 of them. Do as I
I
say.
don't know that you really need that vellum strip either, but
No, I don't think you do. But like I said, the designer, which is Amy K. Kroender, her name was Kroender, Kroender, I think. And she did it, so I did it. But yeah, it's optional. If you don't want to put it on there, that's fine too. And that's the end of card number 3. I just love it.
Pretty pretty.
And our last card is really, really fun. It, it's using the Ladybug. Hello, Ladybug. Stamp set,
We have that.
which coordinates with the Ladybug Builder die. And then this is the medium daisy punch. If I'm not mistaken, there's a punch that will cut those out too, but I'm not sure.
Punch what out?
These little, oh, I'm sorry, these flowers. Maybe maybe the pansy punch would cut out the large one. Not sure.
I think I have a mini punch that might, but I'm not sure if it's the same.
Okay.
And I saw with the ladybug punch that you can also make bees.
Yes. And so I have Winka Stella on the ladybug's wings and on the center of the flower. And it just says, hello, my friend. And the inside says, you can bug me anytime. And this pulls out. Makes it like a pocket card. You have to be very careful with your gluing. I'm going to end up having to trim a little off of this card so it slides in here a little better. There. This one just is perfectly fine. Okay.
Cute.
Oh. To cut the card base is fun. I'm going to start with our regular you kind of do need a trimmer, sort of like this one that can cut in the middle, but you could use scissors if you. It's not necessary, but if you want to get good straight cuts, use a trimmer. I cut this to 7 inches by 8.5. This is a piece that's now 4 inches wide. No, 3.5 inches wide. 3 3/4 inches wide that you could use for a layer on a card. So just don't throw that away. And then you're going to score this at 4 1/4, which is the center, standard center that we normally cut on. And then if you turn it this way, we're going to score it at 1 1/2, or you can say that you just put this out to this edge here out to the 5.5 inch mark, and then just score that. All right. So now when you're looking at this card, the front is going to be here because we always fold away from the valley. So we're going to cut out this piece down here. Are those X's showing? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So to do that, put this back up at your 5.5 and take your cutter and go from the top down to the 4.25 mark for that first center score line. Farther. Very hard to see on camera. This is where you could cut this out with scissors if you're careful. And then line this back up on your 4.25 and come down here and cut this up to that score line, and this piece will fall out. Right? Then you're going to line this up at the edge here. I put my tools in place of the in the track here, so that when I push it in, it's over as far as it needs to go. But the directions say to mark this at 2 3/4, which is, am I in frame? Yes, I am. Right here. And now you're going to take that and cut from that mark up to the center score line. And that's going to give you your proper angle. And you're going to use that piece, so don't throw it away. So that's the shape of your card front, which is what you'll have in your kit.
Oh, okay.
You could do this at 6.5 instead of 7. I wanted a little bit bigger pocket. Here's what the small pocket would look like this.
Okay.
So it's up to you. You can either cut it at 6.5 or 7. The directions you're going to have are for 7. So whatever you like better. And then you're going to fold this flap up, lining up the edge there. And this flap over. Now, when you fold this flap over, if you're into making boxes, you know that it's hard to put a fold against a flat edge. So I'm just going to take the tiniest little bit of material out of here so that that doesn't appear to be cut, but will allow the front of the card to fold over flat here. So let's fold that over first without the flap and burnish it. I want to make sure that goes right up to the point and the edge is even over here. And then the flap inside. Now you know that that will fold nice and flat. And you can erase off your little pencil tip if it's still there. And now I took the tiniest amount of glue I could put on the edge here. I tried some red line tape. It pulled up. So I decided I better use some Tombow. You might want to use Terran tape, might be a little stronger than red line tape. But I opted for Tombow. And then you just glue that flap up and hold it in place. And when you burnish, push it toward the outside rather than toward the inside. Toward the outside. Because you still need room for that. That's what happens when you make this up. See, now that'll work nicely. All right. So there's your card front. So in your kit, you'll have all that already. Look like this. And you'll have a kit of goodies and some paperwork. I'm going to take that one I already glued down and use it. And then the first thing we do is put the red piece on the front. I would suggest, because it's a little crazy angles, if you could use tape if you want. I'm going to use glue because that's the way I'm gluing this morning. Okay. So you want to lay that on the card front. Try to get even borders. Nicely, there's a piece pencil marked on here. In order to get this size, you make a regular size piece and you measure down half this distance. So the inside or the next layer on a card, your outside layer is 5.5 by 4.25. So the next layer down is going to be 4 by 5.25. So you would measure this 4 by 5.25, and this mark that you make to where you cut to the corner is halfway down. So half of 5.25 is, what is it?
2 5/8.
2.5 plus an 8.
2
5/8. 2 and 5/8. 8.
2 and 5/8. Yeah, that's correct. 2 and 5/8. And then this,
I gotta convert.
this piece would be the next layer down, which in its original form would be 3 3/4 by 5. So half of 5 is 2.5. So you'd mark this at 2.5 and then cut from 2.5 up to the corner to get the next layer. All right. That's all in your directions, by the way.
I like that check paper.
So all right. So that's the card front so far. Then you have a little bit of a strip of white, which measures 1/2 inch by 4. 1/2 inch by 4. And on this, I mounted up the stamps from the stamp set itself. It says hello in script, and my friend. And I'm going to stamp that in Memento.
Where's that check paper from?
I can't hear you.
Where's the check paper from?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Pattern Party. That was a hostess gift.
Okay.
But, okay, there are other black and white papers
Yes.
can be used.
Perfectly penciled has black and white. Okay. I just happen to like that check.
I'm stamping this off to the left, but I need to put something black behind it because I'm not seeing where it should be too well. Oh, that's not going to work. Let's put this piece back here. Oh, Robin. The neuropathy is bothering me this morning. Now I can see where the edge of the paper is. Maybe I got it straight. Not too terrible. Okay, then that piece gets glued onto this other piece, which is 4 1/4 by 3/4. Gets centered. There. And to glue that on the front, because this piece is plaid, there's a nice line for me to line it up with. Provided I've got my plaid paper on there straight to begin with. So, you know, kind of go with that. Goes from edge to edge, this one does. Now we're done with the stamping on the front. Let's find our piece in the kit that is stamping on the outside. I have that lined up in my faux stamparatus. That's what I've decided to call this now. Faux stamparatus. I think that's a good. You can bug me anytime. When you stamp this, you want to make sure it's far enough down on the paper so that when it fits in the pocket, it's behind the front closer. Otherwise, it'll stick out over here. So make sure you're down far enough when you're stamping that. Close up the ink and get it out of the way. And then this just, now this is a little bit narrower. This is 3 1/2 by 5. And the red piece is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So it's narrower than the standard layer because it's got to fit inside that pocket. Line that up. Hey, finally got one. Now on the pieces that you cut off from here, you'd punch out the circle that you're going to use, and the designer colored the center of the flower with a marker, but I looked at the back of this and I said, oh, that's perfect color for the center of a daisy. So I just punched the daisy center out of that there. So we'll use that for the daisy center. And this circle gets folded. You can either fold it in half right so that the plaid is straight or the plaid is crooked. Let me show you the difference between the two. This is a crooked plaid up here. That's the straight one. It's whichever.
It's off the screen, Robin. Come down just a little bit. There you go.
All right. So it's whatever one is more pleasing to you. I kind of like this one better.
I do too.
It's more pleasing to the eyes. So to do that, you're going to take it and hold it in your hand and then just line up the scallops You could score it if you wanted to, but I don't think it's really necessary. If you get it, the scallops lined up on the edge down here, it'll be folded right in half. And then you put a little glue on it, or tape, or whatever you want to use on both sides. And you just fold that over the center of this. And I just eyeballed it. There. So that's our pocket card. There. The daisies are pretty straightforward. You glue one on top of each other at an angle. Offset the petals. There we go. And then I glued the flower center in there. Whoa, that's way too much. Whoa. I have a sticky daisy for sure. There, that's a little better. Still too much, but. Now what did I do with my daisy center? Of course. Popped off. All right. I'm not going to complain anymore. We're just going to put it on there. And then, guess what's next? Think of Stella on the flower center.
Stella's birthday was on Monday.
Oh, yeah? And then I put it on with a glue dot. Cooperate glue dots. And I just put this, centered it on the
Strip.
the label, equal distance between the edge of the card and the start of your sentiment. I took this piece and punched out a black ladybug body. Like so. Now I have an extra. And then I punched out with a piece of white, I punched out the wings. Now I want to show you what you could do with the wings to make it life easier on yourself, but you know, I never do the easy thing. Somewhere in my stash of stuff. Yeah. Here's a set of wings that I just put the black dots on a piece of red paper and then punched it out. Now you see the difference is it does not have this little white edge around. So my feeling, and I'm not sure that that's everybody's feeling, but my feeling was that there wasn't enough definition between the wings and the ladybug. So I liked it better with the white. So that's why I went with the white. What do you think?
I don't think it needs the white.
Don't think it needs.
I don't think it makes a big difference. Mm-mm.
Well, I'm going to show you how I did the white anyway.
That's fine.
That's good.
But otherwise, take this stamp, which is the ladybug things, and stamp it on a piece of red. Let's do that. Now you got to be mindful of which way the wings are on the punch. You see they're The paper goes in this side. So you want your wings to be over to this side of the paper, going in that direction. So when you stamp your dots, you want to have those to match the wings. Right, so they're going to go this way. Okay. Just put it in here. And I did not do that the right way. So do as I say, not as I do. But that shows you why you need to get them oriented the right way. So now we're going to have a red ladybug body too.
Or punch them first and then put the dots.
You could. It'll work that way too. I was going to show you on the white how I did it that way.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how I made the first one. And then this one, I do stamp the dots first. It is just easier to line up the red stamp on here easier. So center your dots. There, black is easier to see on the white. So either way works. And then the red. Turn it around and do it this way.
Oh.
Now I need some contrast behind because I can't see. Oh. Line up the dots that are depicted on the stamp with the dots that you've already stamped. There you go.
Okay, I see.
Now I am seeing something that I don't like in there, so I'm going to take care of that easy enough. Nope, I'm going to go with red first. The red. So that's what when you're stamping it, that's one of the things. If you get it off, you're going to have to touch it up with a marker. So it's probably much easier if you like the look of the ladybug, okay, without a white edge around. Just stamp and punch or punch and stamp like this. So we'll assemble this one this way, just for fun. Put a little glue up here, a little bit of glue here and here. Pretty much all you need. And this little curve at the top of the wings goes right at the neckline of the ladybug. Pretty darn cute. And I put the ladybug with some Winkostella on her wings. Winkostella in my fingernail. New trend.
There you go.
You're there. Okay. And then I put, we're going to close this up right away before I get into it. some dimensionals on her back side. I'm being careful not to touch her wings. I probably should have put the wing of Stella on after I mounted the ladybug. That way I wouldn't have to wait for the wings to dry. And then you just put this in a place that you feel is pleasing. I liked her wing under the
Or
daisy a little bit, and her little behind. Just touching the label, overlapping a little bit.
and this one you can use as a gift card holder as well.
Right, you could put the gift card down in here. So there you are. That's all 4 of them.
Nice.
Right, smile, everybody.
All righty. Okay. So any questions?
No, pretty straightforward.
I don't
Gonna be
have a lot
fun.
of those sets, so sentiments will be fun, but we'll figure it out.
Let me know. Let me
And
turn off the recording here first. I'm just going to say
Bye.
goodbye to all
Bye.
my watchers out there. Thanks for joining.